So we've all been terrified of the prototype, this horrifying, monstrous humanoid with a mechanical body that seems to be a mix of man and machine. But what if it's not just a random creation of Playtime Co's twisted experiments? What if the prototype is someone we know, or at least, someone who was once very close to the company? Let's say the prototype is not a failed toy or an outside experiment. What if it's one of the first employees who became the victim of Playtime Co's darker ambitions? A former scientist or technician who worked at Playtime Company and was slowly transformed into the prototype through the company's unethical experimentation. This person could have been one of the very first to test out the merging of human consciousness with mechanical technology. A horrifying experiment that resulted in them becoming something neither fully human nor fully machine. The prototype's origins. Here's where the theory gets dark. Let's imagine that, long before the experiments with toys and Poppy, Playtime Company was working on creating artificial intelligence and robotic bodies. But they didn't just want to build toys. They were also trying to figure out how to enhance human life. They weren't just building toys. They were attempting to make immortal beings. Maybe one of Playtime Co's most trusted employees, someone deeply involved in the research, volunteered to become part of the project. Perhaps this employee, let's call them Dr. Harlan, was a brilliant scientist who had been working on the company's early prototypes for years. As Playtime Co's obsession with immortality and technology grew, Dr. Harlan became increasingly obsessed with the idea of transcending human mortality, but the company wasn't ready for that kind of breakthrough yet. So Dr. Harlan became the first subject of their untested procedure, transferring human consciousness into a machine. The transformation of Dr. Harlan into the prototype would have been extremely brutal. Rather than just being a simple test subject, Dr. Harlan would have been one of the earliest, if not the first, to undergo the procedure. Imagine this experiment being messy and flawed, with the prototype body being built around him. Rather than him willingly accepting the change, the experiment likely went wrong. Instead of successfully transferring his mind into the machine, his consciousness was corrupted, twisted by the fusion of organic and synthetic parts. Now, as the prototype, Dr. Harlan would be more than just a mindless monster. He would be trapped, partially aware of his situation, but unable to fully control the machine he's become. His human instincts and thoughts would be twisted into a horrific form, fighting against the machine's programming. This could explain why the prototype shows moments of hesitation or odd behavior. It's not just a mindless killer. It's a person who is trapped in a nightmarish existence. In Chapter 5, when we encounter the prototype more closely, we could start to piece together fragments of Dr. Harlan's past, notes, audio logs, or even visual clues hidden throughout the factory. We could uncover the truth behind the prototype's creation. That it's not just a soulless creature, but a victim of the company's horrific quest for immortality. The prototype's role in the story. As we explore the factory, we might begin to understand that the prototype is more than just a threat. It's a tragic figure. We might learn that its purpose was never to hunt or kill. Instead, it was meant to be a test subject, a prototype for future experiments that would allow humans to live forever. This means that in essence, the prototype is Playtime Co's first victim. This adds an extra layer of tragedy to the monster. It's not just the product of science gone wrong. It's the person who was once a vital part of the company, reduced to a twisted abomination by the very technology they sought to control. In Chapter 5, we might encounter the prototype in a more sympathetic light, realizing that it's not just trying to hurt us, it's a desperate, tortured being, unable to escape the body it's been trapped in. The prototype might even try to warn us about the company's experiments, revealing cryptic messages or clues about the company's dark past, begging us to stop what Playtime Company has started before it's too late. The final reveal. At the end of Chapter 5, we could be faced with a heart-wrenching choice. Do we destroy the prototype, ending its suffering once and for all? Or do we try to help it, freeing whatever remains of the person inside the machine? In either case, the truth behind the prototype would be devastating. It could be revealed that Playtime Company has done this to many more employees over the years, creating an army of human-machine hybrids trapped inside grotesque bodies. The prototype might be just the beginning of a much larger and more horrifying story. We could discover that Playtime Co's experiments have led to an underground army of twisted beings, all part of the company's plan to create an immortal workforce, perpetually alive, but forever trapped in their monstrous forms. Conclusion: the prototype, being a former employee, someone like Dr. Harlan, would add a tragic and emotional layer to Poppy Playtime. It would make the prototype far more than just a mindless killer. It would make it a tragic victim of the company's twisted ambitions. By the end of Chapter 5, we might realize that the prototype isn't just something to be feared, it's a warning. If the prototype is indeed an employee transformed into a twisted version of themselves, the full scale of Playtime Co's experiments and ambitions would be revealed. In the end, we may learn that the prototype is both a monster and a human being, a person caught in an unending nightmare that started with Playtime Co's quest for immortality. What do you think? Could the prototype be a former employee, or is there something even darker going on?